Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 2, Nightmare All Escalations walkthrough. This is the second mission. It is called Reclaimed Earth, and it begins with the introduction of the enemy I hate the most in Doom Eternal, which is the Cursed Prowler, an enemy that is so lackadaisically designed that it makes no sense to me. And luckily, you will not see it that often. And that is a great thing because the design on them is very, very strange. So if you don't know, guys, Prowlers are a fodder enemy that are beefy enough to take more than one tank of gas to chainsaw, and they dash around teleporting to cut you off. They like to get close quartered, they like to throw a fireball. By themselves, Prowlers, once you adjust to Doom's gameplay, are not the biggest issue. But the Cursed Prowler is different. So if he smacks you after he teleports, he puts this wonderful filter on your screen that blinds you, that slows you down, stopping you from being able to boost. I think it even slowly tick damages you. And the only way to get rid of it is to blood punch him. And the first thing he does when he whacks you is he fucks off. So this enemy will ruin runs no matter what difficulty you're on, because when he turns up, he completely turns off your ability to do things. It's really, really, really bad, and I don't understand the design of this enemy, because if you don't have a blood punch, you literally can't do anything. You have to fight enemies that are stronger and faster and more damaging than you will ever be, and you have to kill them to get your blood punch back, to then try and chase him down while everything in the game tries to gangbang the shit out of your eyeballs. And it's just really, really difficult to recover sometimes from certain Cursed Prowler moments. What I usually do, guys, when the Prowler turns up, if he hits me, I just restart. And I don't quit, guys. I'm not a quitter when it comes to video games. But when he hits me, the chances of me surviving on Nightmare are just non-existent. And what it leads to is it leads to you learning his spawn point and the time when he spawns, because one of the things I haven't explained that I'm going to talk about in my proper walkthrough for the full game is that the enemies here, they all turn up in a set order. The prioritized targets, which are the larger demons, and when you kill the larger demons, the fodder demons stop spawning. When the big demons are out, the fodder demons will infinitely spawn to make sure you always have resources at your acquisition. So if you need to chainsaw, you can chainsaw them. If you need to, freeze them into some flame belch into getting some armor back, you can do that too. They will always populate these arenas with the small enemies to give you the opportunity to get back what you have lost. And the game becomes about getting rid of the target monsters that ends the encounter, and learning the position of the Cursed Prowler is going to be one of those that you might never have needed to do before. Perhaps on other fights you just react to what's going on and swap around your weapons and have a good time like I'm trying to do right now and messing it up, trying to chainsaw a carcass like a buffoon. But when the Cursed Prowler turns up, you have to get rid of him. Luckily, he's weak as hell. So you can kill him with one super shotgun shot or a ballista shot if you hit him right. I don't think he's very durable, and if you can catch him before he teleports and get rid of him, he'll never be a problem. However, if he does what he's designed to do, he's by far the most dangerous thing you'll come across, and I really, really dislike his design. I don't understand why there's a movement penalty from being smacked by an enemy. It just seems like a stupid design, and they're looking into changing him and making it so that when the Cursed Prowler turns up, it gives you a blood punch so that you're never running around needing one. But I think it's an enemy that's got good intentions and might sound good on paper, but it doesn't complement the game in my opinion. Anyhow, we're currently in probably the hardest fight in the chapter. This is the first big arena of Mission 2, and there's a lot of things going on here, and you'll notice I'm trying to use the Destroyer Blade a lot more than I was before. It's not working so well because I'm not using it in the best way, but I'm trying my best to use more things and adjust, and the Destroyer Blade is one of them, and I'm in trouble here, guys. I have 1 HP. Luckily, Doom Eternal has an interesting mechanic in it where when you get into critical HP, the game takes pity on you, and it will oftentimes relent for once. So instead of... Oh, this is interesting too. Did you see that? I spoke about that on my stream today. So there was a bug in this game involving the blood punch, and the repercussions of fixing that bug seem to be very rarely instances where you go to glory kill a stunned enemy and you just punch them. And just then, I almost died. And it really annoyed me because I didn't do a mistake then. And one of the things that's really good about Doom Eternal is that once you play it for a decent amount of time and you understand the dance and you get a little better at it, you come to understand everything you've done wrong. You do a fight and at the end of it you're probably disappointed because this could have been better, this could have been cleaner, you didn't do this, you did that. You see the mistakes, you see the rooms for improvements, you see what you're not doing correctly. And it's such a powerful learning tool because if you want to get better, which I think some people do, not everybody, but most people, you can see from your own ability and how long the fight is taking and how you're missing opportunities that there's room for improvement. And it's a good feeling knowing that it's not your fault sometimes. A lot of the times it can be really easy to say that it's the game's fault when it's our fault and we just didn't see it at the time because of our egos. But every so often there are instances where you're innocent, you know? And if you've ever recorded any gameplay or done any live streams and watched your footage back, you can see this with much more objective eyes than you perhaps could at the moment it was happening. And I've got some really interesting moments on Doom Eternal when I watch back the footage and odd things happen. And it truly is moments where the game is just not working as it should. And this is not to say that the game is bad in any way, it's just, of all the AAA titles I've played, I think this is the buggiest. And obviously I didn't play Cyberpunk, and that one's a bit of a nightmare. But fundamentally, considering how much polish is in this game and how amazing this game is, I get a lot of problems with it, a lot of soft glitches and hard locks and all kinds of oddness going on. And right here is one of the new enemies as well. I think this guy's meant to be a chain gunner. And it's kind of funny because I don't even realise that he is a chain gunner for the most, because he's just the douchebag with the shield that I have to use explosives on. And in this particular encounter you're going to be taking on those Maker Angels, which that is an enemy from the first DLC, and he was really dangerous. But they nerfed him for some weird reason, and now he's kind of crap. He can still kill you if you let him, but fundamentally the window on countering him is much shorter now, so he's not really much of a problem. But here is one of my favourite things about the DLC, particularly this one. They've decided to let the meat hook be a traversal tool, and I think it's a wonderful choice. And speaking of wonderful choices, I really like these two escalations coming up here. These are hard, but they're fun. So the first one is the mandatory one that you're going to have to do, and it starts off here with this Mancubus doing his thing and me trying to get some punches on him. You'll notice, guys, that I punch a lot when I don't have the blood punch. I don't know where this particular habit has come from, but I was doing it a lot in this recording, and it's something that's not going to be happening too much longer, I hope, because I'm going to try my best not to do it. But sometimes when you get carried away, you just press buttons, you know. I'm definitely a button presser. But we've got a Cacodemon here, we've got a couple of Cyber Mancubus, I say Cyber Mancubuses, it's a standard Mancubus chilling out. Our fodder are the flamethrower undead guy, and there's a lot of BFG ammo if you need it. I'm not going to be using the BFG, guys. I embarrassed myself on the first video and I felt bad about that, so I'm definitely going to be trying my best not to do it in any of my other videos now, even though I do think using the BFG is really fun. That's the Cursed Prowler. He's the guy that needs to die. So make sure you put him down, use the hammer, use the BFG, I don't care what you use, that guy needs to die. But we've got a couple of Revenants, we've got a Cyber Mancubus here. I put him down with some blood punch into some weak point stuff. Get rid of some of the gargoyles. One of the most dangerous aspects of this fight is when gargoyles are present and numerous as fodder, and here we have the Marauder. So Marauder, very controversial enemy, but we'll talk about him in the main walkthrough. I love this enemy, I think it's clever. I think it's probably the best design in this game. Does he have moments where he's a dick and he does the wrong things and he trolls you a little bit? Absolutely. But everything that's going on with him as an AI it's superb when you think about it. And fun story too, which is probably not that fun, but worth knowing. I've recently changed my inputs, so on the next DLC you're going to see my different inputs on the key mapper that happens. Look at that, so close, guys. Whew! He's dangerous, you got to really watch this guy. But I've changed my inputs so that my quick swapping can get better and I can have more control over it. And what it's done is it's completely ruined my cycle for fighting Marauders. So when I fight Marauders now, I am nowhere near as effective as I am in this video, even though I'm not doing a really good job of killing this guy. I should have just hit him with the hammer and stun locked him, but for some reason I'm like in the dance. I'm just running around like a lunatic instead of just waiting for him to come to me and then interrupting him and stun looping him and everything. So here is the basic swapping on the Marauder you can do. I didn't fire a grenade there, I didn't get the extra hit. I also am not getting glory kills to get my hammer back or hitting weak points, because I don't think there's any weak points to hit, and I'm just... You know when I mentioned in... Oh, that was weird. I mentioned, didn't I, in the other video, that there's times in this game where I just kind of... I'm in it, and I'm panicking, and I'm trying to just play, and I'm playing on instinct rather than on intellect. That was one of those moments. Watching this back, it's really clear to you and I that I should have been using my weapons to get glory kills, to get my hammer back, and then stun him and loop him and kill him, and it would have been silly and effortless, and I didn't do that. And I didn't do that, guys, because in the moment, I couldn't think to do that. I was too in it. And this is what's going to change the longer you play. You might look at people like Zero Master or Bite Me, or I think he's called like Lightning Break is another really, really good guy, or whoever's got the world record. All these people that are amazing Doom players. You may watch them and you may think, wow, they make it look easy, they're doing all these great things. Well, do you know the one thing all those players have in common? It's not their second playthrough. It's not their first playthrough, guys. If you're playing this game and panicking and it's all crumbling down and you're dying, everybody's been there. It takes time. It takes a lot of exposure to get used to the stress that you're under and to react the way you need to. And the cool thing is, while you're learning to do this, while you're adjusting to the game and you're getting that experience, you're having fun. Because this is probably the most fun game that's come out in a few years, and it's all gameplay. It's all skill. Everything you do here is player dictated, and it is a reflection of who you are. And that's what makes it so fun and so awesome. And you might be thinking, especially if you watched the previous video, you know, why didn't you cover this sooner, Chris? You seem to really like it. Well, I have an interesting history with Doom that I'm going to explain in the full walkthrough, but the short version of that for the people that are wanting an answer immediately is I had a lot of problems with bugs when the game released. I didn't like Doom 2016. I thought it was slow, and it didn't gel with me at all. I think the game is great, I think it's a wonderful first-person shooter, but I didn't enjoy it. And no one understands this perspective because everybody likes Doom 2016, so when I say this to people, they look at me as if I've just said I shagged their mum. And it's that kind of perspective on the internet, you know, when you're that guy that doesn't like the thing everybody likes. So when Doom Eternal was coming out, I thought it looked cool, but I was really worried. I thought it was going to be like just not for me again, and I had this weird stigma going in that I wasn't going to enjoy it, and I was really kind of scared of it because I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like Doom 2016, and I just didn't. Well, I love this game. I adore this game, but the game was so buggy for me. I ended up getting a hard glitch that stopped me from being able to get any further than the Gore Nest, so I played at launch up to the Gore Nest, and the save refused to load the level, and then I started from the beginning, played up to the Gore Nest, and it wouldn't load it again, and I had this game-breaking glitch, and it forced me to put the game down. Ooh, this is the Cursed Prowler effect. Luckily, I had a blood punch and there was no bad things happening, but that could have been way worse. And here's the arch file, so always hit the arch file with everything you've got, because this guy is bad news if you do not put him down. The longer he's alive, the worse it is for you. He's like a chibi icon of sin. And we have a possessed enemy too, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen these yet. If you played Tag 1, or the Ancient Gods Part 1, you'll know what this is. You'll know exactly what this means. And luckily, I'm a bit more confident with these enemies now than I was when I played that DLC. So I understand that if I put the plasma gun on and I use the laser attachment, the Ghostbuster laser, I can stun this enemy and he can't move. But where's the fun in that? So instead I want to use my mobility and I want to take him out. But always remember to get rid of the spirit. If you don't get rid of her, she's a nightmare. This is such a fun fight, this one. I like the second escalation more than I like the first one, because it really gets you going, and then when you think you're through it, they throw, I think, another Marauder at you, and you've done a lot of fighting up to that point, and you know, it gets kind of scary, especially when you don't have your armor and your life's going down, and you're being chased by cacodemons, and there's these random invisible pinkies just getting stuck in. There really isn't much like this game. It's so frenetic and superb. But long story short, as I was trying to say, I ended up putting the game down for about a year, and then coming back to it when it was on Game Pass, and then I ended up finally learning and understanding the Doom dance, and then I beat the game, and the gargoyles are wrecking me here. Here come the Doom hunters. There's some fodder there. you'll notice I'm not doing the right things here, guys, because I know my life is low, and I know I need to get it back, but I'm not doing the right things. I keep punching when I don't have blood punch, when I should be just putting some flame out there, using the shotgun, getting things back, getting the glory kills if need be, and then here comes the Marauder. So, we've just killed the Marauder because of the first escalation, so I should be okay now. I get some armor back on him, I pop a grenade that way. I've got my hammer, I'm going to use it on this dude, which is an interesting choice when I could have isolated the Marauder and killed him. But once again, you know, when you're in this moment, this is when shit starts happening, this is when game plans go to die. Because there's a saying in martial arts, ladies and gentlemen, mixed martial arts, you've probably heard it in all kinds of walks of life. There'll be different versions and permutations of this. Look how close that was. Gargoyles, boys and girls. But if you take a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy who's a black belt, and you punch him in the face, he becomes a brown belt. If you do it again, he becomes a blue belt, and then so on and so forth. And I think you can understand what I mean if you get this, I suppose you could call it an axiom. It is a saying, isn't it? It's one of those sayings, and it's the idea that, guys, everybody is the best in the world until it gets real. And then when it gets real and you're panicking, things change. Your response in that moment is entirely reflective of how well you handle that scenario. And I'm not handling this scenario that well, but I'm doing my best. And I'm scraping it out, and I'm having a good time, and it's messy, it's new, I'm making mistakes, it's not optimized, but it's me, guys, and that's why I love this game, and that's why I can't honestly say that this is really a walkthrough, because it's not. It's a walkthrough in name, and if you watch it, I beat the whole game, and you might learn something, but I truly can't walk you through this game. This game is a personal struggle and a personal journey, and at the end of it, you're so much better for doing it if you can do it, because it's just great. There's no games right now that are going to push you like this. There's no games right now that are going to demand the kind of stuff that this game demands of you. And the best thing about it is that this is a AAA title. This is a AAA title that's actually challenging, that's actually demanding, that's actually skillful, that actually focuses on gameplay rather than gimmicks. And you can't say that in video games at the moment, guys. This is a beacon of hope in an incredibly darkening landscape of battle royale and homogeneous sequels that have nothing of interest in them. And I think that this is a last bastion of hope for true games and real gamers. And I don't want to sound memey when I say that. Oh, by the way, folks, this is one of the best fights in the DLC. This is your reward for surviving what we just did. It's literally hammer time. So just get your hammer pieces and bring the hammer down and wreck fools. And I get an empowered Mancubus over here, but it doesn't matter because it's hammer time, bro. Look how fun this is. It's just a nice little easy fight afterwards to make you feel better about yourself. Pretty sick. But you might be curious about my bindings if you're looking at the side there where it shows you what I'm using. And my bindings are a mixture of the numbers and different keys for the weapons. Every weapon is on a different button, so I can go to it when I need it, but I'm not swapping between them that well. But the gimmick and the crutch that I'm using here is, on my bindings, when you press Jesus Christ. When you press Q, sorry, I don't know what Qui is. But when you press Q, it swaps to the weapon you had before. When you press Q again, it swaps back to the weapon you swapped away from. So when you have it set like this, you can put Precision Bolt on, Ballista on, and you can weapon swap between the two by just pressing Q. And it's really easy. It's the equivalent of what you do on consoles, and on PC, it's the easy way out. And it's what I got used to playing the game. Every so often I'll swap manually, but fundamentally when I do the quick swaps, guys, I'm pressing one button while I do it. And it is an easier way of learning it and getting an idea of the mechanic and being effective. You can beat the whole game like that and be very effective. But you are limiting your dexterity and your ability to precisely swap weapons. And the reason that I've changed my bindings is so that Q no longer does that. I don't have that easy way out that cheapens my ability to play it and gives me things for free. I'm forcing my brain to learn a better way that will be harder at the beginning, but better for me in the long run. And on the next DLC, you're going to see me playing with the new bindings. So if you watch the gameplay, guys, and you're like, wow, Chris, it seems like you got worse somehow, you're going to know why. And the cool thing about having the input mapper there, so you can see what I'm pressing at all times, is you can see the difference in my bindings, and you'll be able to infer what I'm doing a little bit better than you perhaps will in this, because it's a lot simpler here. And I'm hoping it pays off, because I feel already, I've only done it for about 2 hours, the new bindings, but I already feel like I'm more effective, I'm more dangerous, and I can see the end of the tunnel, I can see the light. I know where the end game is, and I know that the end game is me being a much better Doom player. So I'm looking forward to sharing that more impressive gameplay. And then hopefully, when I get back to the full game, when I do the proper Doom Eternal walkthrough, which compared to the DLCs is probably going to be a piece of cake, you're going to see a much more competent and confident player. Because I've beaten the game, you know, a whole bunch more times. The cool thing about the Destroyer Blade just then is that it kills the Whiplashes in one hit. And the Whiplashes can be really dangerous if you leave them alive, and so can this guy right here. See that? That's why you don't mess around with that enemy. Dashing back there to get that greedy shot nearly got me killed. But the amazing thing about Doom Eternal is that when you make a mistake like that, if you're good enough, you can recover. And that's the greatest strength of the design present in this game. It's not about being perfect, guys. You can be perfect, plenty of players are, but this is a game where when you are imperfect, you get an opportunity to rectify that. And to me, that's its greatest strength. Like, you can play like hot garbage, put yourself in a real bad place, but then when you start realizing what you're doing wrong and you start calming it down, slowing it down, you know, slow is smooth and smooth is fast, you start to realize that even in the chaos and the maelstrom, there's choices, there's options, and those options get clearer and clearer every minute you spend in that fray. Every moment of conquest is just banked, and it starts to really show. And like right now, I'm definitely feeling the game, and I'm definitely having a good time. And did you see that? Just a show of hands, guys. Do you agree with that? Or are you like me and you think the Armoured Baron is a great idea, but he's like 10% fucked up? How the hell do I fire a Destroyer Blade at his weak point during its one designated time of being weak, and it doesn't even trigger it? Isn't the Destroyer Blade one of the most damaging moves in the game? Like, I feel like that's just all kinds of messed up. And I'm trying to think why they wouldn't let you shoot that bomb at any time. Because it's hard to do. He moves a lot, the Baron, and he moves his hand a lot too. It's a lot easier to shoot like the Arachnotron's turret than it is to shoot his hand. And yet they only let you do it when he stands there like a twat charging a move. And I feel like the reason he charges that move is because they want you to not be able to do anything to him for a set amount of time. And you can still do things to him because he's weak to energy. So if you do energy stuff, you can like stun him and mess around with him, and there's not really much you can do. And then when his armor's off, if you freeze him, he's never going to survive. This went really bad this room as well. I used the meat hook to get out of the purple goo, and then I fired my frost grenade thinking it would freeze that chain gunner guy, but he's incredibly durable and douchey, and it didn't. There's some common footage of me swapping to a weapon and then swapping off it too quick to fire it. The woes of a new player trying to learn to weapon swap. And then up here we have a Cyber Mancubus, right? So we've got some swaps on him happening. This guy's... I keep going in for blood punches I don't have. And it might prompt the question, how do you get the blood punch, Chris? And to my knowledge, the blood punch is restored with glory kills. I don't actually know if it's restored with weak points. I get the feeling it isn't restored with weak points. I think it's almost always done with glory kills. And what happens on this game is when sometimes when you get into this motion of doing nothing but swaps, you don't get it back very quick because you don't get the right fuel. And that's why it's a really good idea to mix in some of the weaker weapons to help you grab those. And I'm happy to report of my most recent gameplay as I go through the Ancient Gods Part 1 to practice it before I do the walkthrough. I have been pulling out the chain gun more. I've been pulling out the standard shotgun and the plasma a lot more as well. I'm trying my best to use my full arsenal. And it's so satisfying when you can feel yourself using everything you've got. And you don't have to, it's completely optional, but when you start to get that, you know, I'm going to pull this out, do this, pull that out, do that, and then swap between these, and There are a few games that have the satisfaction rate of this game when you start playing it the way the developers perhaps wanted most people to do. And we're not going to get into the conversation of, you know, you can only play Doom in one way and how limited Doom is, because these are conversations we're going to have on the main body of the walkthrough. But I wander around, there's a 1 HP up there. Not a big fan of the life system in this game, if I'm honest. I feel like a game that's as difficult and as demanding as this should be earned, and there's a few too many choices of outs in this game for my tastes, and this is a glitch right here. This guy, he dies, but he doesn't die, and then he just kind of stands there, which I thought was kind of cool. Not all glitches have to be bad. And then this is the final fight of the level, guys. So you've made it. This is a really, really long fight, and it's a really hard fight too. And I was really disappointed with this encounter because I just don't think I played very well. I got this, I think, on my 2nd attempt. And I even wrote on Discord that it's kind of crazy how you can win a fight on Doom and still feel shit for it. Because I wanted this to be a super cool fight, but there's... I mean, it starts off pretty good. So far, this is not too bad. But towards the middle of it, I start to panic. I get tilted. It puts me in a weird place. Just then, did you see that? Did it do it again? He was glowing, right? That was a glory kill. And there's the cursed Prowler. This guy ruined my first playthrough of the DLC. But he's dead, so that's cool. And we've got a Carcass just there. Carcass is down. Got a Baron turning up. Baron's going to do what he does best. I'm going to try my best to put some damage on him, set him on fire, and potentially freeze him. He had his back in a corner then for ages, didn't he? That was cool. I don't usually see the Barons make mistakes like that. But it's nice to see that it still happens. There goes the Imp. We don't have enough fuel for the chainsaw, and I do chainsaw quite a lot in my rotations, so there's moments when I just don't have it. And if you... there it was again. If you want to play the official Chris drinking game of Doom Eternal, every time I try to chainsaw and I don't have the gas, take a shot. Every time I punch somebody with a blood punch that's not there, take a shot. And watching this back, as we get some weird capture moments, I was waiting on the chainsaw then and I didn't need to. I could have been glory killing these guys to get my blood punch back. I could have been hitting them with fire and getting some armor back. I could have even hammered. I could have hammered this guy and then come down and just hit him with some damage and it wouldn't have been a problem, but for some reason I got tunnel visioned. I got so focused on not having chainsaw fuel that I just zoned in and didn't do very well. And then here goes the Doom Hunter, we put him down, and I think now it's the Archvile, isn't it? Oh no, it's the possessed Mancubus. Dude, this guy is so dangerous. So if you don't use... oh, there's a pain elemental too. If you don't use the tickle laser to lock him down and do safe damage, this guy can just ruin your day. And he's not very mobile, but he's just so dangerous on what he does. He puts out so much damage. And if you don't know what a possessed enemy does, guys, it's a normal enemy that's possessed by a spirit, but it has ludicrous resistances, and it either has 50% speed buff or 75% speed buff. So it's a normal enemy, but way faster, and you can't flinch them. You can't stun them, you can't flinch them, you can't break their weak points. Everything that makes Doom work, the possessed demons turn off. So you just need to put so much damage out there, and every weapon gets like a 60% reduction in its damage. So you have to hit these more than you'll ever hit anything else. But the gimmick here is, if you tickle them with the Ghostbuster laser, they can't move. So they're designed around using this laser, I would imagine, but I just don't like doing it. I really disagree with its design. And I've said this a few times in various places, but I would prefer if when you use the laser on the possessed demon, if you did it for long enough, it pulled the spirit out of them, and then the spirit was vulnerable to anything. Like, I think the difficulty should be getting the spirit out. It shouldn't be dealing with the spirit in this stupid, like, jump around like an idiot spamming grenades and hoping nothing pushes you away. Like, I don't like the possessed demon mechanic at all. And it's kind of sad too, because on principle, I don't mind him being tanky. I don't mind him being beefy, you know. I don't mind him being fast. I don't mind him having damage. I mind him not being stunnable. Like, make him stunnable, but make me earn it. Make it so that I have to do twice the amount of stuff I normally need to do to falter him. Because I can do that. I can swap between a bunch of weapons and put him down. As it stands though, it just feels like a bit of a fuck you. In my mind though, making difficulty that's just a fuck you isn't hard. It's easy to make difficulty like that. The entire early days of video games were full of that design. It was design that was intended to steal money. But it wasn't fun. And it's not that interesting. It's just difficulty for the sake of difficulty. And are the possessed enemies difficult? They are, definitely. I think the possessed Baron's one of the worst enemies in the game as far as challenge, because he's just a beast. He's just incredibly capable and he fucks you up. I'd rather fight a possessed Marauder. Because the Baron is just, it's big, it's bulky, and it bullies you, and it's what it's meant to do, but is it fun? I don't think it's that fun, personally. And I like a challenge, and I like this game, and you know, cursed Arachnotrons, I say cursed, possessed Arachnotrons, I find them really fun. Possessed Hell Knights, I find those guys really fun too, because I can still be mobile and I can get out of their range, but a lot of the, like the cursed, that cursed Mancubus dude, I just don't really know what to do to him. And I'm not the type of person that spams, you know, lock-on launcher from a mile away and kills them effortlessly. Because I don't think that that's a good answer, personally. To me, that answer is, you know, if you don't like Vanilla Sagat, play as Vanilla Sagat, and I'll never play as Vanilla Sagat. But that's the end of Reclaimed Earth, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from that. Thank you for watching. You take care now.